This is our Metta Centre Wednesday wisdom session where we invite teachers from around the world and all traditions to share their tips on meditation with us. So today we have Venerable Andrew Williams with us. He will be giving a second part talk on the commentary and meditation on the Four Preliminary Contemplations. So last week, Master Andrew talked about meditation on precious human life and meditation on impermanence. And this week, he's going to talk a bit about karma and the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. And if you don't know much about Master, I will share a little bit about his bio. He has been a Dharma teacher since 1998, initially in the USA and now in Australia. He has studied and received teachings in all of the three major Buddhist traditions of Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. Is currently the resident teacher at the Tu-An Buddhist Monastery in Melbourne. Master Andrew has written numerous Buddhist mini musicals that have been performed at the UN Vesak celebrations in Australia. These musicals have been released on CD and on the internet for free distribution. Additionally, he has a vast catalogue of Dharma songs and songs of peace. He has had an extensive career in the entertainment industry, predominantly as a singer, songwriter, and actor, before focusing 100% on Dharma studies, practice, and teaching. He is actively engaged as the committee member of the Buddhist Federation of Australia, the World Fellowship of Buddhist Youth, and the World Alliance of Buddhists, and the KC Multi-Faith Network. In addition, in July 2017, Andrew was honored with a World Buddhist Outstanding Leader Award. He has recently become also the advisor for Sanghakhaya Foundation in India. So as always, our sessions are interactive. So if you have any questions in person, so there will be a Q&A section. So if you have any questions in person, you can put your hand up at that time and you can ask a question. And for those online, you can actually pop your question anytime and we'll answer those in the chat and we'll answer those at the Q&A section. But if you also wish to speak up, you can put your virtual hand up and you can also unmute yourself to ask the question at the Q&A section. This session will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. And without further ado, I will pass over to you, Master Andrew.
So yeah, hi everybody. Nice to see you again for this part two of the commentary and meditations or contemplation on the Four Preliminary Contemplations. As mentioned, last week we covered the contemplation on the precious human life and also the contemplation on impermanence. Covered some other subjects as well. Sort of went into this week's one as well in relation to the law of karma. And so we will continue with that first up today before moving on to contemplation on the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. The reason why we contemplate these four preliminary contemplations is to develop true and genuine renunciation. In other words, turning our mind directly to the Dharma and the Dharma path that leads to the truth, that leads to enlightenment. And not turning our back on the world as such, but not being overcome by these worldly activities, not being totally sort of overwhelmed by them, have our whole existence be based on the worldly activities, but turning our mind to the Dharma. We need to understand how precious this human life is, as we spoke about last week. But we also need to know that it's impermanent, as discussed last week. And also we need to understand the law of karma, of cause and effect, so that we can engage in wholesome actions of the body, speech, and mind more, and also to avoid engaging in the unwholesome actions of the body, speech, and mind more and more. And so also understanding the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence will help us get off our butt as well and practice the Dharma. So, because so often, we think that these things that are impermanent actually by nature are permanent. We think that even suffering things or unsatisfactory things are satisfactory, or even happiness. We think that this no self is actually a substantial self. Okay, so what does it say here being transcribed? Okay, so it's important for us to contemplate these four to help us to develop true renunciation so that we can develop the genuine compassion, the immeasurable compassion and loving kindness that we need to develop what we call the bodhicitta, or the altruistic, compassionate intention to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all sentient beings. And then that will help us to create the conditions as well so that we can realize the supreme wisdom, the prajna paramita, perfection of wisdom. Of course, when the perfection of wisdom is married with this bodhicitta and they are perfected, then this is what we call enlightenment. Anuttara samyak sambodhi, or unsurpassed supreme enlightenment, or in Pali, Samma Sambuddha, so the supremely enlightened Buddha, realizing your true nature of mind. We will utilize my articles during this commentary or these contemplations. One is entitled The Contemplation on Karma, and the other one actually is not an article as such, it's point notes that I utilize when I taught about the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence the last time, about 12 months ago now. And so I will utilize both of those because they are quite detailed. And I will add a little bit when I think it is needed to add a little bit of commentary to these, but it's covering a lot already in the articles. And you yourself will be doing meditations, okay? We will be utilizing what we call, or what the Buddha called, the three wisdoms, or the three wisdom tools, if you like. The wisdom of hearing. The wisdom of hearing can also include studying, reading the Dharma and so on. So becoming aware of the Dharma teachings. And then we have the wisdom of contemplation, which we will engage in after we have heard this teachings or parts of the teachings. And then we have the wisdom of meditation, which can also be known as the wisdom of absorption, where we absorb our mind with what it is that we've heard and contemplated. Okay, so three principal paths, or the three principles of the path, if you like, are renunciation, the great compassion, or bodhicitta, and the supreme wisdom of emptiness. And the three wisdom tools are the wisdom of hearing, the wisdom of contemplation, and the wisdom of meditation. And so to begin the class now, I should have done before, actually, like last week. I'll just recite some short verses in English. I will just do them once, even though the first one is done 3 times normally. And I will actually change the words from I to we. And also where it says, to make them plural, in other words, to make them inclusive. All right? So you can put your hands together in the prayer mudra, or if you prefer like this, like a lotus flower mudra. We take refuge until we're enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And through the positive potential we create by practicing the Dharma, may we soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering, and may they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. We shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire us to be able to do so. Reverently, we prostrate with our body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. We confess all of our negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. We dedicate the virtues of ourselves and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, we vow to save them all. However inexhaustible our delusions are, we vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, we vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, we vow to follow it completely. And so we will do some meditation now. First of all, to release the tension in the body. Then we will do anapanasati, or breath meditation, mindfulness of the breathing process, or more specifically, the feeling of the breath as we breathe in and out. And then some brief loving kindness meditation. We'll keep it very brief because, as mentioned, we will be practicing the meditation throughout this commentary or contemplations, okay? So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Remember, meditation and any aspect of the Dharma path should be practiced with a calm mind. No stress, don't try too hard, but also don't try too little. Not too tight, not too loose. Be kind to yourself. We practice the Dharma to eventually realize the supreme enlightenment. But along the way, we can experience the fields of bliss that we create by developing and accumulating the merit or good karma or positive potential by practicing. There's no need to stress. So now, if it's your habit to keep your eyes open while you meditate, no problem. Just be careful not to be distracted by visual things, or close your eyes. But be careful not to fall sleepy or develop a dull mind. So let's bring the mind inside the body, and we will release the tension from inside the body, starting from the bottom of the body. Release the tension from all around your feet. And your ankles and Achilles and lower legs. All around your knees and upper legs. And all around your midsection, the front, sides, and the back. Up your abdomen a little bit, the sides, and from the lower back up to the center of the back. And release from all around your chest and under your arms and your upper back. The rhomboid muscles and lateral muscles. And the upper trap muscles that run between the neck and the shoulders. And from your shoulders and upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, fingers and thumbs. And then back up to your neck and release the tension from around your neck. And the back of your head, and sides of your head around your ears and temples. And release the tension from all around your face. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw or frowning. Lips gently touching and relaxed. Tongue resting on the upper palate inside the mouth. And then finally, all the way up to the crown of your head, releasing the tension. Now, very briefly, scan your body again the same way. And if there's any leftover tension that you can release, then release it. And now bring your mind to the feeling of the breath, initially the tip of your nose. And follow the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose, past your throat, past your chest area, all the way into your lungs. As they fill with the air, they expand. The abdomen rises a little. And as you breathe out, the lungs compress and the abdomen drops a little. And then you breathe out past the bronchial area, past your throat, and then out your nose again. Just follow this natural process of breathing. As you breathe in, you may notice that the air is quite cool on the back of your throat. And as you breathe out, it's quite warm. These extra details can help us to remain focused on the breath. You can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths from 1 up to 10. 1 in breath and 1 out breath is 1, and so on. But if you get distracted on the way to 10, go back to 1 at that time. Don't count past 10, because we want the breath to remain the focus, not the counting. So if any thoughts or mental activity arises, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it. Don't try to force it away either, or deny it. But simply and naturally let it go as you replace your mind back onto your breath. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. So let's practice like this for a little bit in silence. So just a note, when you're doing these meditations by yourself or in other groups, do them for longer periods. I like to start Dharma classes with some form of meditations, even if it's short. Gives us the opportunity to practice maybe chanting, practice that, then also release tension if we have, helps to bring the mind inside the body, get to practice some sort of breath meditation for however long, and then develop loving kindness, or if the focus is compassion, or other types of meditation too. At least we get the opportunity to put it into practice, even though it may only be for a short time. Now we can feel pleased with ourselves for engaging in this short breath meditation and fill ourselves with universal love and kindness as we switch techniques to the Metta Bhavana, or loving kindness meditation. Utilize the visualization technique of filling our whole being with the white light, which represents the universal loving kindness, and reminding you that universal loving kindness is not separate from universal compassion, universal joy, or equanimity, known as the Four Immeasurables, or Brahma Vihara, which means the sublime mental abodes. Feel yourself with so much loving kindness and friendship and the like, right now that it overflows and radiates outwards from your heart center, initially to your loved ones. Visualize they are in front of you. And this white light representing loving kindness enters into their heart centers and fills their whole being as well. Wish that they have happiness and engage in the causes of happiness. Have the wish that they are free from suffering and free from engaging in the causes of suffering, and that they are peaceful. And now also include those you may regard as strangers, those people that you're indifferent towards. Maybe you know them a little bit, but not really. And do likewise, extending and radiating this white light and having the same wishes as for your family members. Now also include those you may regard as enemies. Extend this loving kindness to them as well. And may all of these people, from your own perspective and from their experience now, may they have happiness, may they be free from suffering and be peaceful. And you can visualize that this is actually happening. During these types of meditations, we can be quite creative. And now let's extend this loving kindness out to all sentient beings, starting around your immediate area, to all the sentient beings that live on the land and under the land and in the waters, fly through the air, born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation. Whether you know about them or not. All sentient beings, whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or to be born, may they all be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Filling all of these beings with the white light, representing universal love and kindness. Now let's extend this loving kindness out further and further, distance-wise, covering your whole state or county. And all of the states and counties throughout your country. And all of the countries throughout the world. Those you may know about and have an affinity towards, those you're indifferent to, and those that for whatever reason you may feel negative about. Also have your loving kindness pervade throughout all of the oceans and other bodies of water, down to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. And beyond this planet alone, throughout the whole solar system. And all of the solar systems throughout the galaxy. And all of the galaxies throughout the universe, until your loving kindness pervades throughout infinite space, beyond limit. This immeasurable loving kindness that is generated in your own heart, remembering that we are not separate from all things, all mental and physical phenomena, including all living beings. So now you can either keep your eyes closed, if that's your habit to listen to the Dharma, or you can open your eyes, keep the meditated mind nice and concentrated, nice and relaxed, nice and bright. Excuse me. I'm at Phillip Island, by the way. I know that the advertising said Melbourne, but actually Phillip Island's very cold today, very cold this evening. I don't know what the temperature is, but I read that it was something like with the wind and whatever, it feels like 3. So that was this afternoon. So anyway, I've got my beanie over there and my scarf. I'll put them on after the class. Anyway, we have the contemplation on karma. It's quite long, this article, so I will just pick and choose what I will elaborate upon a little bit. We will do it in sections, and what you're going to do, like I mentioned before, is you're going to engage, first of all, your wisdom of hearing. Or you can call it wisdom tool of hearing, because, with a tool, we make something, we utilize it to achieve something. And so this is your hearing ability deep into your mind now, not just with these guys, with the ears. The physical thing doesn't hear, it's the mind that hears. And so we will engage in the wisdom of hearing, and then we will engage, as we did last week, with the wisdom of contemplation. Then I will maybe add some bits or just paraphrase what it is you just heard to help you to contemplate that. And then for short periods, we will utilize the wisdom of absorption or meditation. So get to practice, It's important to understand and to know about these wisdoms or wisdom tools, because it's very nice to just, calm the mind, excuse me, develop the good concentration, bright mind, but we should utilize this bright mind to develop wisdom, to practice well, to improve our practice, improve ourselves, not just feel good. You know what? If it's not just feel good and you utilize it to develop the wisdom, then actually it will feel better in the long run. Sometimes we may have to work a bit harder. Other times it's easy because we create this momentum in our practice. The more we practice, the more momentum we have, the more natural it is and becomes and is. So now, once again, I say engage your wisdom of hearing. Contemplation on karma. The Buddhist belief in the universal law of karma is a view that has been thoroughly checked and analyzed by many great practitioners and realized masters since the time of the Buddha. Conviction in its validity is gained through logical reasoning. It should not simply be followed blindly. Karma means action or cause. Any action of body, speech, or mind places an imprint, an energy potential, or seed in the mind. Mental seeds are planted through your awareness of what you do, say, or think. The imprints of these actions are left on the mind stream and carried on moment by moment, with the present moment of mind coming from the previous moment of mind. When the necessary supporting conditions are in place, this imprint, or latent potency, manifests as perceptions or experiences of happiness or suffering. We can liken this to a biological seed, which ripens when the contributing causes and conditions of water, soil, sun, and the like are gathered together. There are three types of actions, or karma: virtuous, non-virtuous, and neutral. With virtuous actions, the karma ripens as something desirable, a feeling of pleasure in the short term, and ultimately protects you from suffering. With non-virtuous actions, the karma ripens as something undesirable, a feeling of suffering or pain. With neutral actions, the karma is neither virtuous nor non-virtuous, and ripens as something neither desirable nor undesirable. We should thoroughly contemplate well upon the virtuous and non-virtuous actions and their results, so that we ourselves act properly in regards to what to do and what not to do, what to adopt and what to abandon, what to pick up and what to put down. So just a footnote, still utilizing the wisdom of hearing. This is not just filling our minds with deep teachings, filling our minds with nice ideas and realistic ideas, but also an encouragement to practice the Dharma and improve our lives, improve our conditions, increase our good qualities, and decrease our mental afflictions. So let's now practice the wisdom, or utilize the wisdom of contemplation. Whatever it is that you remember from what you have just heard. Of course, I'm not expecting you on first hearing to remember all of this. But whatever it is that you agree with, that rings true for you, then contemplate it. Think, is this possible? Is this not possible? Is this correct? Is this not correct? Is this both correct and not correct, or neither correct or not correct? 4 ways to think about things. So I will paraphrase some parts to help you out. So this law of karma, cause and effect, has been thoroughly checked since the time of the Buddha, even before that. It's never been proven wrong by great practitioners throughout more than 2,600 years. In this time, in this age. But conviction in its validity is gained by doing exactly what we're actually doing right now, through logical reasoning. It shouldn't just be believed blindly. Any action of the body, speech, especially the mind with our intentions, leaves an imprint on our mind, on our conscious continuum. Each moment of the mind comes from the previous moment of mind and leads to the next moment of mind. When the necessary supporting conditions are in place, this imprint ripens as experiences or perceptions of happiness or suffering. We should work to engage in virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind, relinquish or non-virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind as well. Once again, this is being kind to ourselves. We must learn what to do and what not to do and implement these teachings, this knowledge So now for a short period, we will engage in the wisdom of meditation or mental absorption. Whatever it is that you understand and agree with from what you heard and what you contemplated, do so now. So now back to the wisdom of hearing. It is said that there are 4 laws of karma. 1, karma is fixed. Virtuous or good actions must cause pleasure. Non-virtuous or harmful actions must cause suffering. 2, karma expands. As with biological seeds, results are vastly greater than the causes. 3, karma not committed cannot produce a result. We cannot expect the results and benefits of meditation, for example, if we don't create the causes by practicing meditation. Karma, when committed, must produce a result. Once created, karma will not simply disappear. It remains in the mind stream and will ripen in due time unless purified. The subtle working of karma and its consequences are deeply hidden phenomena, not knowable to the ordinary mind. We need to receive teachings from unmistaken and authentic, learned and highly realized sources to gain genuine understanding into this subject. There are 2 most basic types of karma. 1, movement of the mind, which is mental karma. And 2, what it motivates, actions of body and speech, or movement of the mind and what it brings. Mental movement is an action of thought. What it causes are actions of body and speech. These are either communicating or not. What causes the worlds? Our actions cause the multitude of worlds. It is the past deeds of living beings that cause all the multitude of worlds, both the places and the beings they contain. So now engage in the wisdom of contemplation. From what it is you just heard, contemplate that. And I will paraphrase slightly. So virtuous actions will cause pleasure, good results. Non-virtuous or bad actions will cause suffering. If we don't create the karma both positive and negative, then they won't produce a result. So the example I give in this article is a positive karma, good conditions. If you don't practice meditation, you can never expect or realize the good results of meditation. I think we can all understand karma on an obvious or gross level just by thinking about it, even for a short time. But the subtle working of the karma, we really need to practice meditations, get genuine teachings on this, commentaries on this, and really utilize our wisdoms of contemplation and meditation to be able to get to understand it. We have karma, which can be known as the movement of the mind, and then what it motivates, which are the actions of the body and the speech. There is also what we can call collective karma. For instance, all of the worlds are a result of all of the sentient beings' karma. Both the environments and the worlds, as well as the living beings. Too much to go into today for any more details. Maybe I can come back another time and just discuss this subject. And now engage in the wisdom tool of meditation or mental absorption. And back to the wisdom of hearing. Karma can ripen in this life, next life, or subsequent lives. Actions, both positive and negative, which can ripen in the same life, are due to the special feature of the object or the thought involved. Such karma which will definitely ripen are those which involve fierce mental afflictions or fayat that are directed towards an object of special qualities, or anything done on a continual basis, as well as deeds with results which are something seen due to the features of the object of thought. The four types of deeds that will definitely ripen are: 1, deeds committed with a strong emotion, positive or negative. That is, with fierce emotions of either mental affliction or faith. 2, deeds committed towards a very holy object, such as the Buddha or one's teacher. 3, deeds committed repeatedly on a continual basis. 4, deeds committed towards objects of special help to you, like your mother or father. This is due to the extraordinary level of assistance they have given you. For instance, they have given you a human body capable of reaching enlightenment. The two features of a deed that can cause it to ripen in the same life are: 1, deeds committed towards a powerful object; 2, deeds committed with a very powerful or extraordinary motivation. The four features that make an object special are: 1, a higher form of life. For example, deeds committed towards a human being are more powerful than towards an animal, as the former has a greater chance of attaining enlightenment in this life. 2, beings in a state of serious suffering. 3, someone who has given you very special assistance. 4, someone who possesses high spiritual qualities or realizations, as they have reached various unstained states, totally involved with helping all living beings. Whether helping or harming such objects with these very special features will surely lead to a quick experience of an appropriate result. The 4 types of consequences from a karmic action are: 1, a ripened result. Refers to the type of rebirth a being will take. For example, for killing, depending on the intensity of the mental poisons, rebirth will occur in one of the states of suffering, in the hell realm, the hungry ghost realm, or the animal realm. 2, a corresponding experience result. Even if born human, you tend to get hurt in the same way you hurt others. For example, for killing, life is short, you get sick easily. 3, a corresponding habit result. You tend to enjoy the same sort of deeds in the next life, such as having an attraction to killing even as a child. 4, the environmental result. Your deeds also affect the kind of world you later live in. For instance, consequences expressed in the outer world for killing are that food, crops, medicines are inferior, with little nutrition or potency, and cause disease, as well as many beings around you dying early. I will continue going on, even though I don't expect you to remember all of this, but whatever it is that you remember, you can contemplate. Just one more paragraph now to continue with the wisdom of hearing, as we are running short of time. The 6 conditions for deeds to be done and collected are: the deed must be done intentionally. That is, the action is premeditated. It is not done on the spur of the moment or accidentally. 2, the deed must be done to its completion. It must be planned, carried out, and completed. 3, the person who committed the deed feels no regret later. 4, there must be no counteraction to work against the force of the deed. That is, without a purification of confession, regret, future restraint, and other antidotes. 5, the deed must be done with the necessary attendants. These are any deed in which you rejoice having committed, done with the preliminary motivation and taken to its final conclusion. 6, the deed is of a certain type certain to ripen. That is, done with strong emotions or motivations, done repeatedly, and done towards a holy object, parents, or teachers. We must purify past negative deeds and restrain ourselves from collecting new bad deeds. We must protect and strengthen the positive deeds we have collected already, not allowing them to degenerate, as well as gathering new positive imprints. So contemplate that, even if it's just the last little bit. Really encourage yourself through this contemplation, through utilizing your investigative skills and your analytical skills now, engaging in this wisdom of contemplation. And even if it's only a line or a few lines of this article from that part that you remember and understand fully, then now absorb your mind with it by engaging in the wisdom of meditation or absorption. So now we can just have a little breather as I mention a few things. That maybe that one's a little bit long to do in half a class, but we live and learn, don't we? Whatever it is you take from this teaching and from these contemplations, then you take with you. Okay. I just share with you as well. I did put this on Facebook, I think 6 days ago, this whole article. So you can easily access it yourself and have a look at it and contemplate it again. The previous ones from last week, you can also scroll down on the Facebook, and one of them I think I put up the same day as last week's class, and then the other one was maybe a few days earlier. Okay. So now we will look at the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. But in saying so, I apologize for rushing through the last little bit, but I had a glance at the clock a few times and I realized that, okay, I think I can't explain. I didn't want to stop on one paragraph with, all of these numerical teachings, and not stop on the other ones. I didn't want to give you the impression, oh, this one's more important than the following ones. Okay, so that's why I left it bland. These are very confronting teachings, but also marvelous teachings. Think about this. You get to understand what it is, or what are your good qualities, and what it is you need to do to increase these good qualities, eventually perfect them. You get to understand about our mental afflictions, that which we need to decrease and relinquish, eventually totally eradicate. We get the opportunity to do this. We don't want to experience suffering. We all want to experience happiness, but we can't just expect the effect, the result, if we don't engage in the cause. Or we cannot expect to avoid the result of suffering, for instance, if we don't abandon the cause, if we don't avoid engaging in the cause. So we need to be more concerned with the cause than getting upset about the effect or chasing after happy effects by not engaging in the cause to cause them. Okay. So you can see how, on a relative level, this helps us both in our practice as well as in our life conditions, and how to deal with difficulties, realizing why we have these difficulties, can deal with them more calmly, but also helps us on the path to enlightenment, because that's the true goal, even if it's only an abstract idea right now. That's our purpose for our practice. Then we have these methods to be put into practice, how to do them correctly. And then, of course, we have to practice. These three aspects: the purpose, the methods, implementation of the methods. So now back to wisdom of hearing. This is going to be quite quick, but there's not as much. It's, like I said, these are in point notes, so there's not an article as such. Wisdom of hearing, the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence. Samsara is not just this world. It is not a geographic location, nor is it just nature. Buddhas have lived on this planet, and yet they are free from samsara. Samsara is a condition of life, but it is not life itself. Escaping from samsara doesn't mean being extinguished any more than it means leaving the city for a mountain retreat. The cycle of existence is a way of being. It is the condition of being propelled from the experience of one lifetime to another. By the force of our mental afflictions and karma we have created. This condition of existence and the dissatisfaction it produces is the subject of this contemplation. So now for a short period, engage in the wisdom of contemplation. So it's not as if samsara is like this world, this thing, a place to be physically. Cycle of existence is a way of being, unenlightened way of being, where we experience being propelled from one lifetime to another and so on, by the force of our mental afflictions and mental habits and the karma we create based on these. So now very briefly, engage in the wisdom tool of meditation. Absorb your mind with understanding. And back to the wisdom of hearing. Why meditate on suffering? It's not much fun. There's many fun and joyful things to meditate on. So why meditate on suffering? To get to understand the cause of suffering, so that we can uproot it and therefore not experience the result of suffering. First Noble Truth, the Buddha pointed out that all of samsara, all of cyclic existence is pervaded by suffering. Second Noble Truth, he said the attachment based on ignorance is the cause of suffering. And then he pointed out that we can free ourselves from the cause of suffering and therefore free ourselves from suffering. The third Noble Truth. And then the fourth Noble Truth, the Eightfold Path, and all of the other related Dharma teachings. We need to put this into practice to realize the cessation of the cause of suffering. This is why we contemplate this. It'd be silly just contemplating suffering, wouldn't it? Without having a purpose. You might as well contemplate whatever sort of worldly activities that you enjoy. You know, we could watch a movie instead of contemplating suffering, or get a pizza, which just humorously I say that's my favorite go-to junk food, pizza. So why meditate on suffering when we can do these fun things? I alluded to it before. To uproot the cause of suffering. The way we live is unsatisfying, and this need not continue. Otherwise, the Buddha wouldn't have troubled us by pointing out the unsatisfying nature of life, or the Four Noble Truths. Something is awry, even in enjoyable things. There is an element of dissatisfaction and anxiety in all human relations, lying so often just beneath the surface, even in times of pleasure. But the fault is not somewhere outside. Samsara is not out there. It's in our own afflicted mind, in the way we experience life, in the quality of our mind. We are not functioning in accord with reality, and therein lies the problem. I mentioned before, so often we think impermanent things are permanent, insubstantial self as a substantial self, impure as pure, suffering as happiness. This is not in accord with reality. There are many enumerations we can give to suffering, or the types of suffering. But maybe I'll just give you this one today. The three types of suffering covers all suffering. There's dukkha dukkha, the suffering of suffering, which means the obvious everyday sufferings. The suffering of impermanence, anicca dukkha, or dukkha anicca. All things are changing. Therefore, to give a very simple example, even our happiness, even if it lasts, even if we have a heavenly rebirth and we have the happiness for pretty much all of that heaven, that heavenly life, it doesn't last. And then we have the suffering of no self, which can also be known as the all-pervasive suffering, that all of samsara is pervaded by suffering. You can also mention the 8 sufferings mentioned in the Pacciccasamuppada, or 12 links of dependent origination. Birth is suffering, old age, sickness, death, sorrow, grief, lamentation, pain, despair, and all of the 5 skandhas, the impure skandhas, are suffering. So let's now contemplate this, utilizing the wisdom of contemplation, bringing you back now to what I said before about the Four Noble Truths. We should get to know the suffering, penetrate it, penetrate the first noble truth, get to know the cause of suffering. Attachment based on ignorance. So the ultimate root cause of suffering is ignorance, avidya, not knowing. Supreme wisdom uproots this. Penetrate it. And realize the third noble truth. Penetrate that by practicing the fourth noble truth, the Eightfold Path. Now utilize the wisdom of meditation. And now let's switch back to the wisdom of hearing for the last little bit. But the contemplation on the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence will help us to practice, turn our mind to the Dharma. We can, as mentioned last week and many times before, we can control is the wrong word, but I have to use that word today. I can't think of a different one. We can control our attitude. It's our responsibility if we have good attitude, bad attitude. give you the example of a cup. If we talk about positive or negative or whatever. There are people that have the attitude of half full. It's a half full cup. I just changed my mind. Hope you don't mind that. Everything's impermanent. You can just open your eyes, just like listening to a Dharma talk now, and then this can lead into the Q&A. We don't need to engage in um, the wisdom tools from now, only because I just realized 10 minutes past 8 already, and we should have started the Q&A already. So, and these points are good points, for us to think about just doing a Dharma class and later on in your own time. So you know this example of a cup. So the half full cup, that's kind of like optimistic attitude. Half empty cup, maybe pessimistic. Um, Realizing actually this both kind of maybe a person that fluctuates between optimism and pessimism, but there's actually no cup. So there's no pessimism and no optimism. We just call it a cup and we just say, oh, it's half full or half empty. The realistic middle path view. And I'll give you an example, a little teaching that I came up when I first started teaching, really. I just thought about this. There's a field over here. This is like the optimistic field, positive thinking field. Then there's the field over here, the negative thinking field. Then you have a fence in the middle. Not in this positive field, not in this negative field, but detached or non-attached to either or both. But also the fence is risen above, so you can see both fields. You can contemplate the negatives, you can contemplate the positives to get to know the middle path. Beyond these opposites, dualistic way of thinking, conceptual dualistic way of thinking. Okay, and realize the wisdom. So that's a good example I thought I'd leave you with. Meditating on suffering is not for the purpose of causing suffering. Just wanted to point that out, remind you. Rather, it's to understand it, face it, and overcome it by uprooting its root, uprooting the three poisons of ignorance, attachment, and aversion. Also, the six root delusions, those three, and also arrogant pride, doubts, and wrong views. Eventually, to realize compassion, genuine compassion and wisdom. Realize the Four Noble Truths, and realize the purity, purify the mind of the mental afflictions. So I'll leave that at there. Okay. There were a few other points that we could utilize the wisdom tools, but I think we've had enough today, especially I hope I didn't do your head in, not too much for you with the law of karma contemplations. Yeah, open the mics out for some questions if there's any.
Thank you so much, Master Andrew. What a full wisdom-packed talk with lots of wisdom tools to practice with. Um, yeah, please, if you have any questions in person, let me know. Oh, we do have someone in person. Maybe I'll just quickly a question in the online chat. We get that sorted, and then it's a bit of a logistical question, Master. So someone asked where they can find the mentioned articles. I've went through your Facebook and found one on karma, but I don't know about your other articles, the
Yeah,
Samsara and Impermanence and the other one.
yeah. I often, maybe every few months, I may stick them up there, because they're really important subjects and contemplations. But I know that this one on karma, 6 days ago, I put it on. I checked that just before the class started. And
Yes.
then I think maybe around the second, was the contemplation on impermanence. And then maybe somewhere between 3 to 6 days prior to that was the meditation on precious human life without me looking. You can look. Yeah.
Great.
So if anybody wants to look, then you can add. But they're definitely there. Okay. I did
Yeah.
it on purpose because we were doing these classes too.
Thank you so much. And we have a question person from Simran.
Hello, Venerable. Thank you for the talk. Last night, I believe I was having a look at what the Buddha taught, this book that I'm sure we all know of.
Yeah.
And
Master Walpola.
yes, and it did mention what you talked about, the three types of dukkha. And I wanted to ask about how, well, dukkha is kind of obvious how that is suffering. But in terms of when we're looking at dukkha related to both anatta and anicca, something that I'm struggling to understand is how it is suffering when you mentioned also about how we suffer without that supreme wisdom. But from my understanding, especially of what someone might be as an arahant, when they don't have that concept of self, for example, and realize anatta and realize anicca, then they can live, let's say, this life prior to their last final extinguishment in a manner that they're not sort of suffering. So what I don't understand is then how is anicca and anatta suffering when realizing that can get you away from suffering?
Yeah, well, maybe we can say there's the two truths. So we have what we call the ultimate truth, and we have the relative truth, of which we are in right now, cause and effect. Now, the relative truth and can also be known in this case to do with today's subject as samsara, the cycle of existence. It's not just going from lifetime to lifetime, it's going from this thought to the next thought to the next thought, this attitude to the next attitude, so the cycle. And in this relative existence, or I should say, the relative existence is pervaded by impermanence. Everything is changing. For sure, we just have to look at the screen. You were just on the screen and you went off. Now you're back on the screen. The impermanence, right? I just went like that. Impermanence. We know for sure. We can't perceive the subtle impermanence yet. That's only perceivable when we have very high realizations on the path. What I mean by subtle is the constant change within samsara, the constant impermanence. But we can understand it from a conceptual point of view right now, and from a relational point of view right now. Then we have the suffering, like you said, it's very obvious, the suffering of suffering. Okay. So straight on to the impermanence, everything's changing. The suffering of non-self, maybe I like to use mostly the all-pervasive suffering. Because if we are not free from samsara, then we're going to eventually, even if we're in the highest heavens, meditation heavens, eventually they come to an end, the lifetimes. Immense amount of time, immense bliss, but they don't last. So even this all-pervasive suffering relates to these ones as well. Or let's say that the happiest human being. Still, to use a bit of humor, they still have to go to the toilet.
Mhm.
Physical difficulties, mental difficulties. I'll share a little funny experience. I was teaching, 20 odd years ago now, the Yun Yang Temple in Melbourne, and teaching a teenage class, which came after the adult class. And these guys were very well educated, and their parents doing very well financially and things like that. So they didn't sort of have some regular sufferings that some young teenagers may have. Anyway, this one guy who was very good but cheeky, and he said, I don't suffer, And I said to him, what happens actually if you are watching, what's your favorite TV show? And he mentioned whatever it was. I said, what's other hobbies? He liked playing computer games and whatever. And I said, so what happens when you need to take a dump? And and then you have to stop watching a TV show. Then, of course, he was a smart aleck, and he said, just record it. But anyway, my point, he got my point. The point was that if you are doing something right now, experiencing, let's make it bigger, experiencing like a heavenly happiness, it does not last. At some stage, it's gonna stop. Even if it's only for a second, or even if you've experienced it for lifetime after lifetime, not lifetime after, but so long a lifetime. So there, you can say suffering. Maybe the word suffering is overused. The word dukkha, I think in English, the best word for it, if you have to use one word, is unsatisfactory. That's why I used it in, these teachings. The unsatisfactory nature of samsara, not the suffering nature of samsara, because suffering can sound really big. But unsatisfactory, why is it unsatisfactory? Because it doesn't last. Why is it unsatisfactory? Even though as beings have not yet reached enlightenment, but have great conditions, they have not realized the non-self, have not realized, you could say, the emptiness of self, have not realized this yet. And even if had a glimpse, have not absorbed the mind with this yet. Even if have gone through the paths, 4 of the 5 paths. I don't know if you know this teaching, but the path of accumulation, gone past the path of preparation, gone past the path of insight, got a glimpse of this wisdom of emptiness, and are nearing the end of the 4th path, the path of absorption or meditation. They still, even the higher level bodhisattvas, still have a little bit to go. So it's still unsatisfactory until we reach Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi or Samma Sambuddha. Till we reach that, there will still be something unsatisfactory. So I think maybe it's better that I switch to that word rather than suffering, because I think suffering's it's used all the time and can sound really big. But yeah, 3 can all be fit into the 3 sufferings. In fact, it may have been that book from the 90s, maybe, that I got this idea years before I started teaching myself. And because this book, actually, you mentioned, Walpola Rahula, was very important in my Dharma studies. It could have even been back in the 80s when I came across this book, but it was early on, and it covers all of the Dharma path. It's wonderful. So if anybody has not read this book, you should go and get it now. I think if you struggle financially, you can get it online even. Some temples just give it away for free. I know I used to. When I got copies of it, or purchased copies of it, I used to bring it to hospitals and prisons and things like this. So I think it's really important that people get to read teachings that are as clear as this. So hopefully, I'm not a Buddha, okay? I'm not an enlightened being. So maybe I can't be as eloquent to express or to answer your question, because your question is very in depth. I'll go back to how I started it to finish it, okay? 2 truths. The relative truth, spoken about. Ultimate truth is beyond dualism, beyond concepts. To translate a verse from the Tibetan, unthinkable, it's inexpressible, it's wisdom gone beyond, unborn, unceasing, and space-like in essence. Masam zome shira parashin, masha magana kununia, susura yejuwa, do some Jawa, yuma chasa law, with an Aussie accent. Okay.
Thank you, Venerable, for the detailed answer.
Is that okay, or do you need more?
Yes, I think I understand now that holds true more so when you're still in the realm of samsara. But like you said, not until you reach the Sama Sambuddha state, then
Yeah, then don't worry about it.
sustainable. Exactly.
Then you have to teach living beings how to realize what you realized.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable. Do we have any other questions? No, not in person. Any questions?
Every question is great, but that one I loved.
Oh.
And I wish we could do the whole class on it, actually.
You know, as you're answering the question, Venerable, it came to my mind that in Chinese, suffering is like in Chinese Buddhism, it's translated as bitter. It's
Mhm.
just bitter. So I'm like, oh, that's a interesting, like to me it makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
It's just bitter. Like,
Yeah, it is.
oh,
It's not
Jose,
sweet.
it's not sweet. That's it. Like it's just a taste. Like it's some people you may perceive it as just unpleasant, but it's not as strong of a word as it is in English, like suffering. Oh God, when you say someone's suffering, it's like, oh God, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I come across, Buddhism, especially when I started taking it more seriously, that's a word that I thought we probably don't need it all the time not because it bugged me, it was good for me, but I just think introducing Buddhism to some people, they see this first noble truth and they get put off by this, oh, all existence is suffering, you know. So unsatisfactory is better, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, that's something to get around. Like when you start, it's like, oh, like Buddhism is just all about suffering. And I think my friend, I don't know if you know about Reddit. Like one of my friends who's not Buddhist, he there's a Reddit group that's called like Explain Like I'm Five, and everyone goes in and asks questions, and you're supposed to explain it as simply as possible, like you're 5 years old. And someone explained about how Buddhism, and it's like, oh, it's about suffering, and my friend was so turned off by it, but I had to explain, actually, it's you can also
I
say
think
parts about joy, right? Like it's
I
just
think you can, if you're in a situation like that again, um, start by the third noble truth,
mm,
and then you can go on to what to practice the fourth noble truth, and then you can explain, you know what, the purpose of that is to uproot the cause of all suffering. Therefore, we will not experience all suffering. So it can be explained in different order of things. Um, I remember years ago there was I won't bore you with the religion or who it was. Some big figure in one religion was trying to put Buddhism down, specifically to Vietnamese people that during and just after they had to leave the country in mass at that time. And this guy wrote, maybe sounding a little bit disrespectful by saying this guy, but because he was big guy in their religion, and he basically said Buddhism doctrine of cause and effect or something like that is fundamentally um, negative. And then he went on to speak about, yeah, they just talk about suffering and the cause of suffering. And I thought this guy didn't want to pay attention because being a pretty smart guy, I imagine, they deliberately left out the third and the fourth noble truth. So, just got stuck on the suffering and the cause of suffering. Imagine, often joking about this, if the Buddha explains the noble truth of suffering, and then he says the noble truth of cause of suffering, and then this is like guiding you down the path, and then he turns around and goes, no, you can't go any further. Bad luck. That would be cruel, wouldn't it? If the Buddha just left it at the second noble truth. So the third noble truth, what there's nothing more positive than that, is there? What's more positive than that? and then telling you about the fourth noble truth and how to do it. This is what I did. This is what I recommend you do. You know, Supreme Guide.
Yeah, that's yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Next time I'll know what to say.
Just go to the third noble truth.
Yeah.
You want to be free. You want to be wise and compassionate. This is how you do it.
Thank you so much, Master. I think we don't have any other questions. There's just probably a lot for us to reflect on afterwards, as well. Like sometimes when we need to take some time to digest something, the questions will come up afterwards. But we are at time at 8:30, so that's perfect timing. Would you like to finish up with dedication of merits or something like
Yes.
that? Yeah, thank you.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious body, Chitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, rise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Gewa de ne do da lama sante jujine, truwa chige malupadi azalago parsho. Sanso sanso rinpoche, makibana amgirjichi, yebanyamba me badam gone gondo pelwarsho. Tone tawa rinpoche, makibana amgirjichi, yebanyamba me badam gone gondo pelwarsho. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Master Andrew Williams. This was a very like well thought out, and I think, like I said, wisdom-packed session. It's a lot for us to contemplate on, um, and also use not just like a regular Dharma talk. We also get to use our wisdom tools of contemplation and absorption. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing all of those wisdom with us. We don't really get that much really clear, really structured, really like comprehensive overviews of something like karma. There's no fluffy things around it. It's just, what does that mean actually? What's
No, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt with my
Oh
hand.
no, actually I'm so curious as well. Yeah, but it's just really clear and really succinct. So really grateful for you sharing that with us. Thank you.
No, no worries. This is it's called heart to heart mudra.
Oh,
So it relates to wisdom.
oh, okay. So what is the intention or the purpose of holding up mudras like that?
You get to engage your body, your physicality. So you engage the body, speech, and mind. The speech is to do with mantras or even silence. And then, of course, it's all to train the mind to realize what we call enlightenment. You
Mm.
know, there are other ones too, another compassionate one, but also to do with balancing. During the other ones, the offering one, offering all of samsara right up all the 31 realms, um, sun and moon and all sorts of things. And then the other ones that I did, I mentioned this like that, the Lotus Sutra mudra. Some people just do that, the prayer mudra. There's also the teaching of one of the many teaching mudras like this and different ones like that. It's all helping to train the mind and
Mm.
also helping the people that know about this to encourage them to train the mind too.
Mm. It's like, oh, would it be almost like a mindful practice whenever you noticing the present moment, this arises, like which is sharing wisdom or compassion and so on. This kind of helps the
Yes,
mind and the
you
body.
must be mindful when you do that. You must be mindful.
You can't just
Be
randomly
aware.
do this. This is not an easy posture to do.
No, no, it's been many years that I've done these. Maybe there's certain ones I couldn't do if I had to learn them now, but I don't know. My hands are reasonably flexible. I guess it may be to do with certain
Mm.
martial art practices, but also play guitar for many years.
Mm.
So maybe my hands are still quite flexible, much more flexible than my lower back, my neck and ankles and knees.
Well, thank you so much, Master Andrew. We look forward to having you back sometime. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending in person and online. It's always lovely to have all of you here with us to listen to the Dharma and also meditate together to share the space and presence. Yeah, as always, we have some notifications. So every Monday we have Dharma talks, and they're in person in Bankstown, Western Sydney University, and also online between 7 to 8:30. On Tuesdays, we also have yogas in Western Sydney University in Bankstown. I think that's 6:30 to 7:30. And also for Wednesdays, like this session, we have those in person in Parramatta, Western Sydney University, as well as online between 7 to 8:30. And we have also our anniversary, Metta Centre 10-year anniversary, and that will be in November. And I always forget the dates, so uh, just bear with me as I pull up the 8th to 9th. Yes, and then the 15th. Yes, perfect. Sibra is my second brain. Sibra is helping a lot. Sibra and Eugene both in person are helping with the anniversary. So we have 8th to 9th is a convention, and then the 15th we have a Magadana. So we're going to wait, are we having Magadana on the 15th? Yeah. That's gonna be, yeah, like we're gonna have all the monastics from around the world, different traditions coming together. We're gonna offer food, we're gonna have some sessions where we can interact and chat with them and chat with each other. So it'll be like a day of friendship and spiritual friendship and celebration. So hope you can join us on those 2 weekends. All right, and without further ado, I'll let you go. Good evening, have a lovely week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.